Greetings everyone, and welcome back to another video in which I'm going to be taking a look at another cheapo product. That's nothing unusual for this channel, and it's something that I accidentally bought. I didn't actually intend on purchasing the item that I'm going to take a look at today, but I'll actually explain how I got this item very soon. But this is going to kick off a couple of videos where I'm going to be looking at some gaming related products. So I've got the bootleg PS5 and the bootleg Game Boy Advance SP that doesn't actually play Game Boy cartridges. They will be coming in the next few weeks, but in the meantime I thought I'd take a quick look at this, see what it's like, and I've tried it. It's not the best, but it's something. Before I waffle on about this product for 45 minutes and show you the listing, I have to go through the listing for this item because there is some funny things in there. So if you don't want to stick around for that, timestamps in the description as well as the pinned comment and as well as integrated into the video. There'll be the chapters where you can go along and skip past this part if you want to, but if you want to stick around for some funny advertising, then you're in for a real treat. But otherwise, all good if you want to skip past the listing. I know it's not for everyone. Also, adblock users and revanced users, feel free to use them if you need to, because I try and minimize the ads down, but they get put back in automatically, so that option's there for you. The console that we're going to be taking a look at today, I actually picked it up from ewaste. I went to ewaste and there was actually a PlayStation 2 as well as a PlayStation 4 Slim with a PSVR headset with all accessories, and it was just in this big box, and tucked away in the corner of this box was the box of this product we're taking a look at, and I thought it was just two generic wireless controllers for the PS2. So when I purchased the lot, which was only 50 bucks by the way, and the VR headset worked perfectly fine, not that I've used it for anything else except for Doom VFR, which was very meh. Yeah, it all turned out to be a very good bargain. When I actually took a look at the box properly, I noticed that I'd bought myself a cheapo gaming console, which is called the Game Stick Lite. That is what we're going to be taking a look at today. Here it is on AliExpress, called the MA Video Game Console 2.4G Dual Wireless Handle Game Stick 4K 10,000 Game 64 32GB Retro Game Christmas Gift for PS1 GBA Boy. That's quite a usual title for something off AliExpress, but the Game Stick Lite currently retails for about $30 Australian, which is actually really inexpensive for something like this anyways, and for what you get as well, it's not a bad deal. Now obviously I can't promote this thing in any way whatsoever because there is ROMs on the microSD card that comes with this thing, and yeah, I want to avoid that bit of a grey area there, so if you want to look at this console, you'll have to search it up yourself. But otherwise, we can see in the picture, comes with two controllers, looking like PS2 controllers, without the PlayStation face buttons, which I can't believe I stuffed that up in the Temu video. I put circle on the left and square on the right. I'm so stupid, I'm sorry. We get the game stick, USB power cable, HD extension cable, gamepad receiver, plays a whole bunch of ROMs and stuff, and I got everything in the box except the HDMI extension cable. The description reads, support 4K Ultra HD TV video output, 1080p 720p. Am I missing something there? 4K and then 1080, okay. And monitors and projectors with HDMI input, and it supports download games, which means you download the ROMs and put them on there yourself. Equipped with wireless dual joysticks to play all the great games, make you enjoy the game even more, let you remember enjoy your childhood quickly. If you need a list of games, you can contact customer service for a list of games. I've got the 64GB variant, which comes with 10,000 games, and I'd say that's about correct. And if you want to read the rest of this, feel free to pause the video right now and take a look at the rest of this. The product is not charged. When using it, put two AAA batteries into the handle. I love how they call the controllers handles. But this picture, this is called a high definition game console because it connects with HDMI. I'm actually going to try it on my 4K TV to see if it actually outputs in 4K or if it outputs in 1080p. I have a feeling it's 1080p, but we'll see what happens. 2.4G wireless handle pair battle, 2.4G wireless gaming controller, sensitive, no delay, free from cable constraints, away from TV. And as you can see, these two blokes are shouting at their TV. That's clearly photoshopped onto the background. All 69s at the top, that's funny. Breaking device limitations in global application scenarios, support various HDMI settings for seamless use. Home TV, projector, a graphoscope. I had to Google what a graphoscope was, and it was something that was used in the 19th century to view photos. And they've got an iMac right there, so just go along with it. And then old style television, which won't have an HDMI port on it. Well done. 2 out of 4 ain't bad. Classic nostalgia game series, new 2022 3-day Pandora game box. Pandora game collection, 12-core high-end CPU with 10,000 plus games with, what's his name from Street Fighter? I don't play Street Fighter. Its time shocked the entire audience. Craftsmanship, design, independent research, and development for 10 years grinding one box. I'm sorry, but what? The ordinary game box is 2D, 8-core, coreless host, less than 8 emulators, no 3D game, supports up to 2 people, single and simple function, ordinary 1.5 meter high definition HD cable, But the new patent 3D game box comes with the 3D Pandora 12-core host, supports 9 major simulators, 10,000 plus classic games, supports for 4 people online, power outage archive, okay, support for multiple device connections, and bold HDMI high-definition cable. If you're as puzzled as I am right now, I don't blame you. Speaking of the 12-core CPU Pandora high-end chip, smooth and stable operation, no delay, no lag. Smart chip. Game. Yes, I agree. I wonder what the processor actually is in this, to be honest. Support for multiple emulators. Childhood should have all kinds of travel. Reject single game classification, induction, portability, and search without any ink marks. Once again, I'll just nod my head and go, okay. But we see the list of emulators it does support there, but I'll talk a little bit about that soon. Fast and not tiring with one-click combo, breaking through the bottleneck of hand speed. Long press and hold the Start plus A button to set the combo function, making the sniper gun turn into Gatling in seconds. One-click settings, continuous hair function. In all of that nonsense, it has a turbo function. I guess we could try that out during the gameplay. Shocking 3D breaking through the dimensional wall, 10,000 games waiting for you to unlock. And then it has... what's her name from Street Fighter? I don't play Street Fighter. But then we have 3D gorgeous fighting. Operation is King with Ryu from Street Fighter. I don't play Street Fighter. Man, if that hasn't sold you on the item, I don't know what will. Maybe this picture? Convenient operation, enjoy showcasing skills. There's the gang from Street Fighter there. Conscience is a good thing. Careful and unique transportation. Striving for excellence, lightweight and compact body, plug and play, not occupying space. They're not wrong. The unit is pretty small. That's what she said. The controllers take up the most room though. Finally, we have the high elasticity and sensitivity button rocker, the streamlined design of human body, support left and right directory switching, and once again, the bold HDMI cable. If you're still confused about the item, so am I. Probably easier if I just showed you this thing, and we'll start taking a look at the box and what this thing has to offer for $30. Well, not that I paid $30 for it, but it's fine. I don't know how to kind of close this box. I've tried to put the controllers in several different ways, and I can't figure out how they were meant to go from the factory. So for the sake of easiness, I'll just take both of these out and we'll take a quick look around the box, which has the same stuff that the bootleg PS5 has on the box as well, with the bloke and game just there, professional game chip, Connect TV, classic games, double rocker control, 2.4G wireless controller gamepad, original 3D rocker, special game rocker for arcade, high sensitive anti-skid design. I've heard that before on one of the things I've looked at. On the back, we have the Game Stick Lite 4K Ultra HD game stick with mecha design elements, highlight sunken text, charging interface, wireless transmitter, TF, and LED signal display lamp. I mean, they were able to advertise 6 things for a stick. Not bad. Product features, support 10 simulators, open source system, and dual players, which that open source stuff I will get to very soon. This device has no built-in game content. Users need to install it by themselves. Users should pay attention to the copyright of the content during installation. Pay attention to the copyright when you include a 64 gig microSD card filled to the brim with stuff. And then going down to the specification parameters, it says the operation system is Linux RetroArch. The emulators, we've got MAME, Famicom, Game Boy Advance, Game Boy Color, Mega Drive, Super Famicom, PS1, Atari 2600, and 7800, like on the bootleg PS5. The CPU is the GB2 as well. We've got 256 megs of DDR3 and 128 megs of flash storage. And then on the top is a sticker which might tell us where it actually came from. It probably came from AliExpress maybe, or Wish, or somewhere. I don't know. Do you recognize that barcode? Let me know. That's it around the box. The controllers, looking like a PS2 controller. I wouldn't say PS3 because it doesn't have the triggers. I mean, you could say it's DualShock 3. Otherwise, it's got the exact same layout. The analog sticks don't click down. The D-pad feels really mushy, but it's okay. It will do for the most part. Select start and a mode button. Then you've got Y, A, X, and B just there. Once again, I can't stress enough how silly I was in the Temu video going, yeah, circle can go there and square can go there. Yeah, okay. We've got the shoulder buttons just there. Power mode up the top, which both of the controllers came with batteries, so they're probably worth more than the unit itself. And at the bottom, we just have an on-off switch just there. Ooh, there are Eclipse batteries. Super heavy duty. I wonder who sells these. But I have tested the controls and they do work. Nothing too special about these. Actually, I should check to see if the bootleg PS5, I shouldn't call it the bootleg PS5, I should call it like the GS5 or something like that. The controllers, I want to see if they work with this thing. And then as for this thing itself, we've got the unit, the little tiny USB receiver. We get a micro USB cable to power it and some instructions, which looks a little something like that. Appearance view, HDMI upgrade button. There's an upgrade button on here. Where? Oh, maybe in here. Hang on. No, there's no button in there. The controller description, function description, main menu function, which is going to look pretty much exactly like that. Classifications, hardware function, and nothing else that I see on the instructions. The rest is just in Chinese. Game Stick, little USB receiver, which is just called the S2-C. This is the Game Stick Lite, says it on there. 4K Ultra HD Game Stick Lite. HDMI there, the USB port for the receiver, micro USB for power, micro SD card slot. It was manufactured in 2023. It doesn't say what month, it's not marked. So it's almost brand new. That's cool. But that's basically it around this thing. It's plastic, it's pretty thin. You just plug it into the back of your TV, or you're supposed to use the HDMI extension cable and do it that way. But if you go to put ROMs on this thing, you take out the micro SD card, which is just a generic one, 64 gigabytes. And due to the operating system on this being Linux, if I plug this into a Windows computer, it comes up with a whole bunch of partitions that obviously Windows cannot read. But there is one partition that I can access, and it looks a little something like this. So you've got Game, Mini GUI, Picture, RetroLib, and RetroArch right there. So this would be the data partition, but I would say the other partitions contain the system files for this thing. So theoretically, you could put another operating system on this and make it more usable. But the thing is, I don't know how to do that because it is just a cheapo product that probably doesn't have many things online about it. But if you can suggest something on how to possibly get a custom operating system on here, that'd be good, because I want to see if this thing can play more games. And in the game folder, I've actually added 32X and Nintendo 64, because in the library folder, we have files for Mupen 64 Plus and Genesis Plus GX, which means we should be able to play N64 and 32X. It's only supposed to play 9 emulators on here, but I have a feeling it can play a lot more. But it's just the operating system that's on this is limiting what it can do. But once again, I'll test all that when I hook it all up. I've shown you the listing, the advertising, unboxing. Let's go ahead and hook this up to my 4K TV and see if it can output in 4K, and then we'll go from there. All right, I've got this connected up to my 4K TV. It doesn't output in 1080p or 4K. It outputs in 720p. There goes 4K Ultra HD Gaming. So I'll hook this up to a 1080p TV and then we can test it out. And booting it up, it just says loading. Then we have loading again. And finally, we're into the Game Stick Lite 4K. So the menu layout is very, very basic. You've got the list of all of the games, which we have 15,000 of them on here, supposedly. Then we have class, which we've got MAME, Famicom, Game Boy, GBA, GBC, Mega Drive, Super Famicom, PS1, and Atari. History, you can see the games that I have played. I've tested on this, but hopefully my files have appeared. If I go to collection, these are just favorited. And then if I go to search, so I've just searched for the N64 ROMs that I've put on here, which was Tony Hawk's Pro Skater, and nothing's come up. Okay, so my games haven't come up because I did put driver on Game Boy Advance on here to test, and there's no file explorer or anything like that, and I can't refresh to check to see if there's any other ROMs added. I just drag and drop the ROMs into the Game Boy Advance directory and then created the two directories for Sega and N64. Alright, let's start with MAME then. Let's just see how emulation goes. Class reading. Maybe it'll come up once I select GBA. That definitely means N64 won't work though. Now most of the games on this thing are all arcade games. So let's play, Zero Wings right there, but that's not the right version of Zero Wing. There's 183 pages as well. Also, none of these are in alphabetical order as well. So you have to just go through the list and just find something that you like. Okay, well that exists. Also, I don't have an HDMI capture card to confirm the whole 720p thing, but it does look pretty much 720p in the menu. Thus, I'm pointing my camera at the TV like the good old days. Tell you what a good arcade game is. Tekken 3. Could have chose Tekken 2, but I'll go with Tekken 3. Sound emulation is a little bit off. I'm going to choose Paul. So far, it's a bit laggy, but should be fine once we get into the game. Okay, well, 3D arcade emulation is looking a little something like that. Then you can press the mode button, which brings up the little menu. So you've got state slots, save states, load states, controls, which you can't change any of the controls. Everything is already mapped out for you. And then disk control, and that's pretty much within here. If I now hold this and this, I'm doing the turbo mode. No, that doesn't work at all. Let's try a basic arcade game then. Try something like Aliens. Very basic 2D beat 'em up based on Alien or Aliens. I will probably fix the aspect ratio for the other games, but otherwise I'll just leave it in widescreen for now because I think this game was meant to be widescreen. There is a slight bit of input lag, but the console is actually behind the TV because I don't have an HDMI extension cable. That could possibly be why, but I have tested the GS5 or the bootleg thing out, and it's pretty much the same thing. It sounds good, so I could either blame poor hardware optimization or the operating system that they've put on here is just very, very limited. Arcade's pretty much a bit of a miss on this one. Let's try Donkey Kong. Something so simple. Let's see how it runs. Oh, okay. We're breaking the rules. Fucking... Well, this clearly isn't Donkey Kong. I did select it. Okay. Oh, I'm not being stupid. Okay, I found actual Donkey Kong. Well, I think 2D might be okay now. Mario is supposed to make noises. Well, at least the emulation's good now that I've given it one of the least demanding titles it could play. And then I can change the aspect ratio to be a little bit better. There you go, that's in 4:3. It's not that exciting, let's try another emulator. Alright, Famicom, or NES, NES. And straight away, you should know what game I'm going to test first. It's the definitive way to test anything that plays NES games. Super Mario Bros. Let's see how that goes with this very slow microSD card. That took about 5 minutes to load that, but we're good now. Super Mario Bros. There it is. I'll set it to 4:3 so then it's the correct aspect ratio. How does it run? Oh, okay, so B is to jump and Y is to run. I can say there's definitely input lag. A little bit stuttery here and there, but it's fine. Just the button mapping's really strange, but you do have turbo buttons if you want to use them. That game exists too. What's that? Oh, okay. Oh, there's Plants vs. Zombies on here, so we do have some bootleg games. Oh, is this the really bad Back to the Future game by LJN? That has the same, like, yeah, this thing. Yeah, torture myself with this. Yep, there it is. Good stuff. I mean, yeah, it's fine. It's NES. It works. Just a bit of the input lag, which may be a bit of an issue later on when I try SNES. Should I actually just leave it in 4:3 aspect ratio now? The only other ones that are going to be in widescreen will be Game Boy Advance. We're at Game Boy now, so let's give Game Boy a shot. What should we play? Oh, Tony Hawk's on Game Boy. Oh, that would be painful. I may as well play Pokemon Puzzle Challenge, so I guess this can double as Game Boy and Game Boy Color test. There it is. A's not to start. It's B. Okay. I can safely say that this upscale to 720p doesn't really look the best, but it's okay. Oh, I was playing a game on here. That's right, I have already tested this. It is slightly cut off. I can't see anything because the tripod's in the way. It's Game Boy. Basically the same as NES, and it works fine. Honestly, the buttons aren't too bad now. There is still some input lag, but it's definitely not as bad as it was. And turbo works. Oh, is there any bootleg Pokemon versions? Remember the like Pokemon Diamond that everyone thought was legit and it was just a bootleg? Nah, it doesn't look like it's on here. I just selected one of the Pocket Monsters games just to see what it is. This is Silver. I'm holding down turbo, so it skips dialogue a lot faster. Yep. Runs perfectly fine. Sound emulation is perfect as well. I feel like it's sort of skipping a few frames here and there. It's not super smooth, but it's more than playable. Look, I'm fairly happy with Game Boy and Game Boy Color emulation. So let's keep continuing on. What have we got next? Oh, Game Boy Advance. Oh, they did work. They are here. That's good. Well, for the Game Boy Advance test, let's try Doom. Please let this work. Yep. Perfect. Well, I say that, and we haven't even booted up yet. Oh, there is sound. Okay. Alrighty. Ooh. Yep. Are the buttons mapped? Yes, they are. Yep. Oh, it picked up a little bit of speed. I just want to hear the ending music. It's like a tank to control at the moment. Oh. Well, there was ending music in this version. Not off to a good start. I'll try Driver 3 on the Game Boy Advance. It's probably not going to run good, but just try it. I think 2D Game Boy Advance you'll be right with. This is still an amazing game on the Game Boy Advance. Like, the fact that this is an open world game is quite mind-boggling. And it was also 2 guys that programmed this too. Ooh, it's starting to struggle. Alrighty. Yeah, it's a little, you know, can't expect too much. I still have to head to the guys who did this game. Unironically, Driver 3 is one of my favourite games as well. It's so janky, but I played it when I was a kid just so many times. I didn't have Grand Theft Auto, so Driver 3 it was. That happened. Let's try a 2D game just to be a bit fair on it. There's only 11 pages? Okay. I've just realised Driver 3 was already on here, but it was called Car God 3. That's good. Yeah, the button mapping is extremely strange, but can't change it. This is painful. I mean, it runs fairly... I was going to say fairly smooth. No, not really. It's pretty laggy. Yep. I didn't make that. This is Game Boy Advance emulation with just a 2D title. Fairly basic 2D title. Well, it's got 3D elements in it. Next we have Mega Drive. Will Doom 32X actually pop up in this list? I wonder. It's not here. No, so I have a feeling this won't be able to play 32X. Unless, of course, you can do a custom ROM on this, then yeah, you probably could. Out of the box, probably not going to work. There is Sonic 2 on here. I'm looking for Sonic 2, it's called Sonic Kid. Well, I guess this is also the perfect game to test Mega Drive emulation, or Genesis. That's promising. Hey! Emulation's pretty much on point. Once again, it feels like a frame skip is happening. As it's not super smooth. I mean, it is smooth enough. But, yeah, this is good. Oh, I didn't notice much input lag during that, but I was basically only holding right and just pressing a button to jump, so it's not quite as obvious with other games. Oh, there's Action 52 on here. Oh, that'll be good. So it doesn't help that a lot of these aren't actually called what they're meant to be called, so you kind of just have to... Oh, Super King Kong's on here. You kind of just have to guess. This is a classic bootleg game. Let's give this a go. Even though this really isn't a great Genesis test. Mega Drive. Oh, that's right, the sound effects. Yep. I think Genesis Mega Drive emulation's perfectly fine on this. Whee! What the hell is Alien Double Stupid? Let's move on from Mega Drive then, because now we're at Super Famicom, Super Nintendo. I'll show you Doom first of all, just so you can get a good idea of that, and then we'll try Donkey Kong Country, and if there's anything else, we'll play that. But two main games that I like to test on Super Nintendo, Doom and Donkey Kong Country. Alright, we have 355 pages of SNES games. Let's go straight to Doom, wherever that may be. Oh, I can just play it from here. History only stores 10 previous games. I thought it would be a lot more than that. Granted, Doom on the SNES is a technical achievement, as it is on Game Boy Advance as well. Because this had the Super FX chip in it, that causes issues. Let me show you. So, good start. Alright. Yep. Sounding good. Yeah. Well, it's not bad. And there we go. I mean, if you can ignore the artifacting at the side, it actually doesn't run too bad at all. I can't fire. Because I've changed weapons. Okay, it does run a little bit slower than it does on actual proper hardware. Does it play better than the Game Boy Advance port? Yeah, no. I mean, it's not the smoothest on actual hardware anyways, but if you wanted to experience it, you absolutely can. Donkey Kong Country, here we go. With the button layout as well, I have no idea how this is going to go. There's a bit of glitching going on. That's okay. Y is at the top of the gamepad, that is to roll, and A, which is at the bottom of the gamepad, is to jump. So you've kind of got to hold it in a bit of a sort of claw configuration for, you know, optimal gaming. This runs fairly well. I say that and it just starts to lag. It goes smooth and then laggy, smooth, laggy, smooth, laggy. Yeah. It's alright. It's okay. I've got to also look at this as being only 30 bucks delivered as well. More than likely though, you have a mobile phone on you that's capable of playing emulators, and you probably have a Bluetooth controller laying around that you can connect up to it, and there you go, you have emulation. And you can play a lot more than just what you're limited to here. But let me try Tetris Attack. I was going to say, what happened to the sound? Okay. Yeah, it's a little bit, if you're trying to do combos really fast, I don't think that's going to happen. It is somewhat smooth though. Somewhat. Yeah, I definitely wouldn't be able to have a fun round of this. I would be better off playing my SNES Classic and putting this on there, which is super easy to do custom firmware on. This song is an absolute banger. Whoa. Yay! I did something impressive. Can conclude that Super Nintendo emulation is also very much hit and miss. You can definitely play a few games if you wanted to, but they're not going to run fast at all. We've got PlayStation 1 up next, but I'm going to go to Atari first, which has a bunch of 2600 ROMs as well as... Wait a second, no it doesn't. It only has 2 pages worth? Let's try Pac-Man. The terrible port of Pac-Man on the 2600. That's it. Okay. Oh, hello. I mean, you can't expect much from Atari 2600. I don't think I've ever seen Atari 2600 struggle on any emulation system out there at all. Every time I've seen it, it's ran pretty much perfect. There's some crackling going on, but it's an old console. You can't expect too much. I'm going to try that Commando one to see what console this is meant for, because it's definitely not 7800. 1986. Okay, maybe it is. Does that look like 7800? Maybe. Oh, Rampage is on here. That was definitely made for the 7800, I think. Ralph. Gotta choose Ralph. It runs, I don't know how many Atari 7800 games there actually are. Don't think there'd be too many. If you want to fill it up with Atari 7800 games, you absolutely can. Well, last we have PlayStation 1. Good old PlayStation 1. And there's 7 pages on here. The first game that I did play when I was testing this was Driver. One of my favorite game series of all time, as I've already mentioned with Driver 3, but it's one of my favorite driving series of all time. Sad that it's sort of fallen off where it used to be. It was trying to be more Grand Theft Auto, and then it went back to its roots, and now we haven't seen another one since, which is unfortunate, but I'll show you how this runs. Now, instead of doing the tutorial, menu music's a little slow. I'll do survival. See how long you can last. I dare anyone to go play Driver, play the San Francisco level, and see how long you last in survival. The cops are absolutely brutal. And look, this does run. Come on, flip me back over. There's an issue with Driver. On emulation, even on the PlayStation 1 Classic, if you put Driver on there and you go to play again, it crashes. It's just a thing. There you go. I can say PlayStation 1 isn't really up to scratch on this, but I'll show you Crash Bandicoot 3, another one of my all-time favorite games. And I'll say with the buttons, the face buttons don't feel too bad, but the D-pad's pretty mushy. And I've completely failed to mention too, probably wondering what the right analog stick does. The right analog stick is basically just your X, Y, A, B mapped to that. So you can use the analog sticks if you want to, but it's not true analog. As you can see there, it's just basically using the D-pad mapped to that. Yep. Okay, so this is a level that you just casually go through. Pretty sure any phone that's been made since like 2014 can play PlayStation 1 no problems whatsoever. It tries, but it's definitely nothing too exciting. You won't want to be speedrunning this, that's for sure. Finally, we'll try Biohazard 3 Last Escape. They almost got it right. That's also burned in my brain permanently. And here we go. I mean, it's a bit choppy. I can say that. It's definitely a bit choppy. But with the fire effects, I just thought that would sort of make it slow down, but it's not too bad. What? The buttons, yeah, the buttons are all over the place. Okay, sure. I mean, if you were really desperate, you could probably play a full game of Resident Evil on here if you wanted to. Sound emulation also is not the best, and a bit of slowdown here and there. Because it's not full 3D, that's why you can sort of get away with this. Anything that's gonna be basically 3D, you're gonna struggle with on this. Because this is mostly 2D backgrounds with some 3D elements, it's not struggling as much. I'll give this a pass. That's absolutely everything we can do on this. I can't search for the N64 game, the 32X game that I've put on here. We're very limited in the settings that we can do for this, but there is one more thing that I do want to try. Ha! Yep, I've just hooked up the PS5 bootleg one, and yep, so I'm going to assume that they're basically the same hardware. Then again, that could be more powerful. I'm not too sure. Well, that's it for this thing. Let's finish off recording the TV, and I'll talk about a bit of a conclusion. We'll tear this down, and we'll go from there. We're back, and when I unplugged this from my TV, it was hot, and still is quite toasty. So I wonder if there's actually any cooling within this thing or not. As a conclusion for this, for 30 bucks, you can play some classic games, but that's basically anything 2D. Anything 3D, this thing is just not going to handle, which in the wonderful advertising it did say, 3D, this can do. I mean, it can do 3D, but the performance is questionable. But look, 30 bucks, you get 2 controllers and a 64 gig microSD card with a bunch of ROMs on there. I guess if you wanted to just grab this, and if you've got a cheap TV with HDMI laying around, just plug this in and off you go, I guess it would be more than enough, but it's definitely not 4K Ultra HD. It's only 720p, and yeah, as I said, the performance is just very hit and miss with a lot of the games. I'd honestly just say, use the $30 to invest in a Bluetooth gamepad for your phone, and then go for it with emulation. That's probably the best thing I would say. With the bootleg PlayStation 5 thing, that's more of a, well, it's a novelty. You're paying the extra because it looks like a console sort of thing. They've cut back the costs on making this a console and just shoving it into a stick. Still doesn't warrant the extra 30 bucks though, but hey, we'll get to that review when we can. But as I said, if there's a way to do like a custom OS on this, different firmware, so I can actually see better performance in the games, you'll have to let me know. I know there's people out there that are a lot smarter than I am and have more knowledge about doing that than I do. If you have any ideas, please feel free to let me know. Before I tear it down, I just want to see if Windows recognizes the USB. It does. It's come up as twin USB joystick, so that's a bonus. Well, I guess it's time we tear this thing apart then and take a look at the innards of this. I'm going to start with the controller, because obviously there's no vibration motors, but I want to see if it's like the same molding inside of it. But I hope that conclusion is more than enough. And basically that's going to be the same conclusion with the GS5 thing. Basically just use your phone and connect a Bluetooth gamepad up to it, and you'll have a much better time than using this. But I don't know, if you just wanted this to use on an old TV out in the garage or something, and you just want to play NES games or something, it's fine for that. There we go. With all the screws removed, I can get access to the innards. The controller actually says, well, it could say Sega M or Sega M from 2021. And then if we just pop these two out, all right, and then just taking out circuit board, take a look at the other side of it. All the markings for the button config and stuff like that. 2 analog sticks just here. But yeah, these don't work in a 3D sort of movement. It's just sort of emulating the face buttons, and that's it. And then also the buttons as well, just in there. Alright, well that's back together, kind of. It'll do. Alright, well let's take a look at the game stick itself, which I assume we just pry it open and that's it. Got to slice through the warranty sticker. Oh, out of warranty now. Well, that's easy. Got it. This is it. Yeah, there's no cooling in this. It's just straight up plastic. But we have a rock chip, RK3032 there, and I am led to believe that we have the 256 meg or 128 meg of RAM there. Wait, no, hang on. 256 meg of RAM and 128 meg flash. That is actually 1 gigabit of DDR3, which is 125 megabytes. The RK3032 is a dual core at 1 gigahertz. They're 12 cores in the advertising. Well, I mean, they got 2 cores. But otherwise, yeah, manufacturing date was 2021. There's a spot there for what looks like another micro USB connector. Another empty spot there, probably for a switch maybe or something. A couple of empty spots on the motherboard, actually. That's pretty much it with this thing. That is $30 you pay for. You get this bit of circuitry. If there is some sort of way that you can modify this to play a lot more and get better performance out of it, it might be worth the 30 bucks, but as it is, I don't think it is worth the $30. I think the probably 10 bucks I paid for this thing is worth it. Actually, I got a 64 gig microSD card of questionable quality and 2 controllers that could work with Windows. I don't know. You let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. But that is going to do it for the Game Stick Lite. That is definitely not 4K Ultra HD. I hope you enjoyed this video. And if you've made it to the end of the video without using the timestamps, thank you so much for sitting back and listening to me ramble and waffle on about this thing for who knows how long. But if you had to use the timestamps to skip past the listing or any other bits and pieces in the video, that's completely fine. That's why they're there for you. And if there was more ads than what I put into the video, then AdBlock is your friend, or Revanced on mobile if you need to use them. Absolutely fine with me. I've actually had this thing sitting around for about 3 weeks now, and I had no idea that the GS5, PS5 thing off Temu was going to be exactly the same thing. But I just thought I'd take a look at this first to see if there's any ideas about putting custom firmware onto these things. But I have no idea about how that goes. As I've said, if you can let me know, that'd be much appreciated. But feel free to let me know what you thought of this thing down in the comments below. And I'll start organizing for the videos on the other 2 consoles that I got from Temu. Until I see you all again, thank you very much for watching. I really do appreciate it. And as always, please take care, stay safe, and be good people. I'll see you all in the next video, which will be looking at something cheap, which is nothing out of the ordinary for me. Take care, and I'll see you in the next one.
If you like this content, feel free to leave a like or a dislike if you didn't. Thanks heaps for watching, and I'll catch you all in the next video.